Alright guys, we should be going live about right now. Welcome to Readings with Rebecca. It's good to see everybody today. I've got my temporary roommate up here in Seattle that I've been staying with for months. I'm borrowing a gigantic monitor from them and their webcam. So things might be a little different today. Can you guys hear me okay? Please let me know if you can. If you can't, I'll work on that immediately. But how would you know what I was saying if you can't hear me, right? If I'm looking over here, it's because I am looking over towards the chat window. Alright guys. How am I dealing with the heat? Well, honestly, I am naturally cold. Ask anybody that knows me personally. And anything, it didn't used to be this way, but anything below 75 degrees and I'm in a jacket. And so the hotter temperatures honestly don't bother me that much, although I will be honest, I start feeling a bit lethargic once we start approaching the 90s. So the thing is while the 90-degree heat wave that's currently hitting Seattle is challenging on certain levels, it was really warm by the time I finished my 10-mile run this morning. But it's not a daunting challenge like it is for other people, which is something I'm grateful for, but I worry about the people that aren't accustomed to this heat. Also, it's important to remember that I grew up in West Texas. And in West Texas, your average summer temperature where I'm from is anywhere between 100 and 115. So in that respect, I've got a little bit more experience dealing with the weather than most people. And wow, this is she does meetings all day long. And because of COVID, everything is remote. So she has this really nice webcam called a Logitech Brio. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a fair chunk of coin, but I'm thinking of investing because it seems like it's just working great. I don't know. I am kind of having to look way up, and if I lower my head a little bit, I don't know how that's going to look, but this is me kind of glancing off to the side. It's an ad hoc setup here, but it's a good one. So, well, I honestly hope that you find some relief. The one thing that's good about the heat in West Texas, and this is something that you hear ad nauseum where I'm from, and other places, I suppose, where it's like this, but it's a dry heat. 105 degrees feels largely like 105 degrees. It's hot, it's sweltering, there isn't a lick of wind, but we don't have like 50, 80% humidity, 90% humidity like it is when you're in Houston. And let me tell you something, summer in Houston is like residing within the world's largest dryer vent. It's insane. It'll be 95 or 100 degrees, which is fairly reasonable for Texas, as much as anything in Texas is reasonable. But then you also have like 90-95% humidity on top of that, so it feels much hotter. You swim through the atmosphere. People are more fish than human. You could open the door on a hot day and cut out a slice of the atmosphere and bring it home as a souvenir. It's so thick and steamy. It's nuts. But, Seattle, 50-60% humidity with a nice breeze off the sound. It's unpleasant, but it's not hellish. Houston, I'm looking at you. But anyway, getting away from my apparently very calm rant on the weather, because we just can't have a stream without a rant. How you guys been out there? You guys been doing good? You guys been doing the good? I hope so. It's, I've got the best fans in the world. I honestly believe that. You guys are all wonderful folks. But as 2020 continues to challenge us with violence and discord in our cities and fractious election year and COVID-19, you know, all we need really is the giant meteor now. We can call apocalypse frickin' bingo. Which I really hope doesn't happen, or a super volcano, or just insert mega disaster here. But to use a somewhat trite phrase, but nevertheless fully intended, be excellent. I hope you are all being excellent to each other, and that you are continuing to party on, my dudes. And by being excellent, I mean showing love, care, and concern to yourself and to those you encounter. Because if there is anything this year that we need, is more people showing love, care, and concern to themselves and those around them. Let's see here. I am looking over here. Ha ha ha! Jeff Dunham. No, he's a comedian. Not as familiar with him. The one that I really like, because he's so dry and his style is so smooth, is Ron White. You know, he swaggers out there with his scotch and his cigar, and he just starts, you know, as we would call it in Texas, jawing at you. You know, he tells stories, and they twist and they turn, and in some ways, I honestly think that Ron White would be an excellent narrator if I could ever afford to pay him to read some of my audiobooks, because he's just got such a great voice and such a great delivery. We just gotta keep on surviving in spite of those who want us to suffer. Yeah. Live in defiance of those that tell you that you are somehow lesser, because you aren't. The idea that some lives matter less is the source of almost all evil in the world. That's a paraphrase of a famous quote. I've seen it attributed to Martin Luther King. I've seen it attributed to Gandhi. Whoever said it knew what the heck they were talking about. You exist. Your life is a sacred and unique moment, whether you approach it from a spiritual or scientific angle. Quantumly, the particles that make you up, the way that we are all constructed, the environment that we live in, the facts and the moments of our lives are so unique as they are unlikely to ever repeat, and they will not ever repeat in the same way. Therefore, everything that lives by simple virtue of its existence is a limited time only, fully unique, fully rare occasion in the universe, and no one can ever take that away from you. I'm not saying that everyone is special, as saying that, which is to mean to say that no one is, because that's crap. Everyone is special. Everyone is quantumly and spiritually unique. Now, my science may not be perfect. I might sound like I'm talking out of the wrong end, but I honestly believe that. Keep living, keep striving, onward towards the farthest star. So, oh, was he the one with the Arabic suicide bomber puppet? The YouTube algorithm just had a fit, by the way, by me stringing those three words together. I'm quite sure. Um, because it was like Ahmed the Undead Terrorist, something like that. I can't say that I appreciate that too much. Um, I really can't. Those things are tragedies. Then again, it's often the point of, they say, I think it was in a MASH episode, comedy, let's see here, anger turned inward is depression, anger turned sideways is comedy. I think that there's definitely a place for that. I think movies like Blazing Saddles and stuff, where it's just a blatant, mockery of racist terms and talk and the horrible divisions that keep us divided according to largely trivialities in our design. I really love stuff like that. But reveling in those stereotypes and using them to hurt and marginalize people, that's not comedy, that's just sadness. Yeah, his words. Different cultures respond to things different ways. But I'm still not the greatest fan of it. And that's okay. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, even if I find their opinions distasteful. The extent to which your own freedom shall extend lies within the extent that you will extend that same freedom to those you hate and despise. It's another famous quote from a source that I can't quite remember. But basically, you are only as free as the freedom that you give to other people and the people that you like the least. And that's a big deal. It doesn't mean let other people hurt people. But I think it was the American president. Freedom is advanced citizenship. It's you standing in front of a platform defending a man whom you despise as he calls down everything that you have ever loved or believed in. And yet you are defending this man from the crowd. Words have power. But words should also be respected. What we cannot say gains a special and dangerous attraction to the marginalized. The worst ideas should be allowed to be spoken openly and clearly for no other reason that we might refute them by our example and our own words and deeds. My goodness, we are on a tear today. 12:50. I'm really glad that I extended hair racing games out to 2 p.m., which is kind of what I meant to do, so I'd have a little bit more time to read, because I have just been going after it now for 20 minutes. And I really appreciate you guys putting up with my endless ranting. Finley, part of growing up is learning that your heroes were people too. You can always learn from somebody's good example. You can also learn from what they did wrong. Which is, one of the reasons why, uh, George Washington, right? We'll wrap this up after I kind of rant here. George Washington did a lot of things right. He was a very good man for his time. He, of course, led the Revolutionary Army against Britain. He was the first president. He eschewed power. He set up precedents on the executive branch that continue to be upheld and respected to this day. There were a lot of things that he did right. The Founding Fathers, they did a lot of things right. And our country, because they are the Founding Fathers, has largely lionized and idealized them to the point that they are now carved out of marble, or they have been for a very long time, as paragons of virtue and freedom and enlightenment values. And it becomes so easy to see only that and to cherish this idealized version of them. But the reality is far more complicated, because George Washington was also a slave owner. He refused to emancipate his slaves for a number of reasons. He pursued one slave in particular that ran away on a judge relentlessly, though she was never caught. And he honestly believed that black people were better off, that slaves were better off under white guidance. So this man that fought for and believed in freedom didn't exactly, there was a huge, to put it kindly, there was a huge point of hypocrisy that glares out from his values like the gaping hole of a ship taking on water. He did try to do right with his will at his death, including provisions for their freedom, but it wasn't enough. And we can look back on him very, very harshly for that. We can judge him for that. But the thing is that nobody is good or bad solely. Light and dark must both exist, and just as we can learn from the values that he championed, we can also learn from the values that he betrayed. And so I think that the lesson of our Founding Fathers and those heroes that have fallen in our lives from the lofty positions that we once propelled them to is that everything has a lesson, and that you can take good things from the good things, and you can take more negative things from the negative things, and to look at something with context and honesty is not just a pinnacle of maturity. It is a necessity for true growth and understanding of what it means to be alive, what it means to be fallible, and what it means to honor those values and traditions within ourselves that we esteem so highly today that they did not esteem highly enough in the past. And so, I do think we should remember George Washington. And in a lot of ways, I think that it's okay to have a statue to him, or a monument to him. But I would like very much if at every statue and every monument with the historical text scroll that you always get that are positioned next to them, they gave an honest accounting of what he did wrong too. That we say, yeah, we remember him for the good that he did, but also for the good that he failed to do. And I think in that place, we would more truly honor his memory and honor the spirit on which our country was founded and our current values defined. But I don't know. The one thing I do know, though, is that extremes, no matter where they are born out of, often lead one to dangerous ends and often lead one to the hypocrisies and the fallacies that I have just described. We must remain ever vigilant, looking towards the past for lessons as to how we are to, in order to avoid the faults of our ancestors, looking towards the future to see how our current faults might be affecting our own progress and the progress of those that come after us, and ever forging within our present a better day, a better way, and a better moment to exist within, because we are unique. We are only going to get one chance in this earth, on this earth, in this way to do these things. And that matters. It really matters, because history is forged not out of great moments, but small decisions, like stitches in a tapestry. Alright, it's now 12:55, and I went to school to be a preacher 20 years ago, which in many ways feels like yesterday. But my God, what a sermon. Just wind her up and watch her go. So, you guys ready to do some reading? Are you sick of me pontificating upon my own navel? There's a obscure and strange little joke. Because where we last left Snow and Charlie, things were heating up on the room. A conspiracy has been exposed that may trace through the entirety of Central Command itself. The military is on the verge of a type of civil war, and the success or failure of Snow's mission may determine the fate of the young United Earth Alliance as a whole. And today we will find out what shape these events will take, and what is about to occur will eventually change everything. Let's get into it, shall we? I feel like that was a rather good segue. Alright, let's see here. Alright, guys. Chapter 19. Can you see the text okay? Once again, massive, huge monitor. Tiny, tiny little picture-in-picture window down at the bottom. OBS, this streaming software that I use, uses this fun kind of like scale thing. Excuse me. We are going to go full screen. There we go. That's better. You don't need to see the small myriad of bookmarks that Chrome, which I only use for streaming and other stuff, shows. Alright. There we go. So, Readings with Rebecca, Chapter 19. We are going to go about another half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and then I have to get ready for the next stream in the line, Hair-Raising Games, where we will continue with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I will die over and over again. It should be entertaining. Today we're going to meet the frog guy, Qualic the toad. Keep calling him a frog. And I imagine if you were a frog or if you were a toad, not only would you know the difference, but you'd be quite offended when people got it wrong. So, my apologies to the fictional character Kolok, I'm not sure. That's probably offensive too. I'm just racking it up today. But today we meet the toad of the swamps. So be sure to check that out at 2 o'clock today. Hashtag shameless plug. You guys all know my announcements. Hooray, hooray. It's reading day. Chapter 19. Time passed slowly in my quarters. It was all a waiting game now. Tomorrow we would board the LRRC and head towards the Mendian rendezvous point. A steward arrived with a full security detail, loading all unneeded equipment into the cruiser. There was an air about the ship of hidden tension, waiting for the right moment to uncoil and release. I was eagerly anticipating our send-off. It would be safer for everyone involved. I was reviewing protocols around 1830 hours and nibbling on some Timothy hay that hadn't been loaded when general quarters sounded. The light of the alarm briefly flashed in my room. Charlie activated the charge bolt on the rifle and called the bridge. "Admiral, what's going on?" Charlie asked. "Reports are still coming in, but it appears Commodore Bob Davis wants his ship back." The Admiral almost growled. "It seems at least half the security forces are with him, too. You take Snow, get her off the ship right now. Assume any approaching security personnel are hostile. You have permission to engage." I saw a strange calm pass over Charlie as he checked his rifle and sidearm. "Understood, sir. We are moving to primary extraction point. Do you have intel on possible paths?" "Alright. Take the most direct line. I am coordinating with all known loyal security personnel, keeping it open for you. Point-to-point communications will be the first thing to go." The Admiral was cut off and there was only static on the comm. Charlie motioned me to get behind him. We stacked up by the door and it opened. He cleared the area and motioned me forward. "Snow, you keep your head down and stay behind me. Move quickly and try to stay out of sight. If you hear anything, you let me know. Your ears are better than mine." He had a look of pure concentration in his eyes. "Roger that," I said, falling back into old training. We exited my quarters and the ship was eerily quiet. Red lights flashed angrily with every terminal in the hallway showing in bold letters, "All hands, general quarters." We made our way past the elevator to the emergency stairs. The LRC was 6 decks below us. Moving as quickly and quietly as possible, we covered the distance in no time. Charlie again motioned behind him, and I secured myself on a stair just below the landing. Nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. The door opened and we were directly behind 2 of the security forces. They turned to raise their pistols at Charlie, but they never got the chance. He had his rifle at the ready and let loose into the 2 officers. The energized rounds tore through them and dropped them to the ground. I had no time to think about what happened. Charlie emerged from the corridor after checking what would be our flank and motioned me to follow him. The launch bay was just ahead. We were almost there, almost to freedom. A security officer saw us and tried to use some kind of communications device. Charlie dropped him before he could say a word. The path looked clear now. Charlie began to sprint and I followed after him, paying no attention to the way my paws slipped. All I wanted now was safety, and safety was aboard the LRRC. The large door to the bay opened, and we made our way to the cruiser, which appeared untouched and ready for our mission. We made about halfway there when I heard the sound of multiple pairs of boots sprinting down the hallway. I shouted out, "Charlie! We have company! Multiple hostiles are closing in!" He hid a device in his pocket, and the loading ramp of the LRRC dropped down as a cadre of security personnel entered the room. Charlie opened fire, killing 2 of them and sending the rest for cover. He backed up towards the ramp, still firing till the rifle clicked, its power cell empty. He pulled out his pistol and kept firing until we made it up the ramp. Quickly hitting the retract button once I was inside, we watched as the security personnel made their way into the launch bay with a practiced coordination, moving towards us slowly. Charlie had the systems up and online and wasted no time contacting the Admiral on the ship's long-range communications system. "Ambassador on board, but we have hostiles in the launch bay requesting scramble launch. Repeat, requesting scramble launch." The Admiral replied fast, "Scramble launch authorized. However, you're going to have to make your own door." What does he mean by make your own? I didn't get a chance to finish my sentence. Charlie charged up the LRC's cannons and blew a huge hole out of the side of the launch bay. The faces of the security team went from calm detachment to full panic as they were sucked out into the vacuum of space. A huge section of the ship was suddenly just gone, enough for the LRC to fit through. "Initiating scramble launch protocols," Charlie said, and fired the thrusters, taking us right through the wreckage. He brought the LRC alongside the Rome. "Admiral, we've cleared the launch bay. Repeat, we've cleared the launch bay. Ambassador is on board and unhurt." "Very good, Commander. Now I can focus the resources on retaking the ship. Do me a favor. Switch on Space News. I'm getting reports our mutiny is live." "What?" Charlie exclaimed. "You can't be serious." "No, and this could be good intel. We need you right now. You're our only eyes and ears outside the Rome." He paused and added, "Eternal communications are out. It's not going well for us." I switched on the monitor and saw the special report flash across the screen. Just a second, guys. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that brief pause. Just had to get a frog out of my throat. I switched the monitor on and saw the special report flash across the screen. "We take you live to Caroline Alvarez, where some kind of battle has broken out aboard the UEA Rome." Thank you, Samantha. This is Caroline Alvarez reporting live from the Rome, where, according to our sources today, the Admiral on board to debrief the ambassador for the Mendians has taken command and secured the captain in his quarters. I am with the captain now, and he states he was removed from his post illegally and is retaking his ship to jail a rogue admiral. "I should have spaced that bitch when I had the chance," the admiral muttered with a gleeful menace. "Obvious acts of aggression. Deck-by-deck battle," we heard Carolyn narrating with sounds of a gunfight behind her. "Sir, it does not sound as if this is a battle you're going to win. Might I recommend heading to the escape shuttle?" Charlie interrupted. "The captain expects to retake the bridge soon. We will continue reporting live as this drama unfolds. Crisis aboard the UEAS Rome." "Charlie, I can't let the flagship of the fleet fall into the hands of a rogue element. You and I both know my duty, son," the admiral replied, and I felt a shiver go through me. I heard him curse over the open intercom. "Get that goddamn system back online!" Charlie tapped a few keys and I saw the words "beginning data transfer" stream across the screen. "Data transfer complete" flashed next. Within that data was a full report of what had happened, and the image from the Major's hard drive, everything we needed to expose a conspiracy at the heart of the UEA. There are new reports now that the Mandean ambassador assisted the admiral, Carolyn informed her viewing public. Reports state she is currently in hiding aboard the ship, but Captain Davis has vowed to take her into custody to await trial. Lieutenant Commander Stevens, Captain Dawkins, this mission is on you now. You expose this damn conspiracy and bring back good news from the Mandeans for us. Charlie, break formation. Move to your rendezvous point. Aye, sir, and for what it's worth, it has been an honor. Charlie saluted and tapped his nav panel. The LRC turned and began to move away. I assure you, son, the honor was mine. I could hear reverence in the Admiral's tone, but also a sadness that seemed out of place given the situation. The LRRC streaked at full speed away from the Rome. We still had our comm open as the security officers with the captain began to reach the bridge. Admiral, the ship is ours. Your forces are routed. Surrender control to me and there doesn't have to be any more dying today. I lost the battle 5 minutes ago, the Admiral said almost dismissively. I promise you, though, I haven't lost the war. A bright flash of light erupted as the Rome's engines overloaded. It enveloped the ship like a blanket and made me shut my eyes against the oppressive light. Charlie was going full throttle, but the blast still shook the ship and slammed my body against the bulkhead violently. Slowly I gasped and then felt the uneasy sensation of my consciousness slipping. I did not immediately black out, though. I stubbornly held on to my consciousness, staring transfixed at space news. Though the Rome was dead, the broadcast had not yet caught up with her destruction. Then I saw him. I saw Jim, that young knight commander, lying slumped and dead with a pistol in his hand as Carolyn Alvarez stepped over his body just outside the bridge. He had held them off and provided time for the Admiral to blow the ship. I thought about him in that moment, thought about the sister who he'd never see again, and the Admiral and the doctor, even the nice security officer who saved me from the reporter. They all flashed through my mind. It was too much. It was all too much. Suddenly my head swam again. I saw the image on the TV go white and then static, and I knew the Rome would never be seen again. I didn't know how long I was out, but when I opened my eyes, Charlie was there watching over me. You're making a nasty habit out of rescuing me, I said. So don't thank me, he said, smiling. You're going to be fine, just another minor concussion. I get to keep you awake while those bots heal you. Oh, joy, I said half-heartedly. Was that really the Rome going up? I asked, hoping it had all been some horrible dream. I'm afraid so. I've been in contact with UEA Command. I've spammed every admiral I could think of. Her sacrifice won't be forgotten. Don't you worry, little hare. If anyone else had called me that, I would have been offended. But I noticed he started doing that when he wanted to comfort me. I took it for what it was intended, closed my eyes, and felt another shiver run through me. Why is it we always have to buy our peace with blood? The Admiral said it himself. This meeting could start relations again and shore up the alliance back at home. If this meeting averts a senseless war, isn't it worth it? The question loomed large and ominous in the air. We were battle-weary and horribly exhausted. Now that we were off the Rome, the fatigue that came from an easing of tension washed over me. A message flashed upon the sleek glass control panel of the Rome's comm station. Secure channel request sent to command flashed in ugly, large letters. Charlie tapped the panel. Authentication and encryption protocols engaged. Identity verified. LRRC-1. Assigned to Lieutenant Commander Charlie Stevens. Commander, War and COG protocols currently in place. Please verify identity. A panel popped open on the side as the shutter raced through me. War and COG? This was bad. Charlie pressed his hand to the panel and spoke in a booming voice. Authenticator, Delta Foxtrot 9er 2126, Omega, confirm. ID confirmed. Secure channel established, the computer said. The red ugly letters were quickly replaced by the image of a young admiral. Ah, Commander Stevens, the news of the Rome and the data packet we received from you has caused quite a stir. He sounded detached. It was my feelings it would. Sir, Admiral McHenry gave his life, as well as many others, to safely get that info to UEA Command. What are our orders? Your mission is unchanged. It is now more vital than ever that you and Snow complete your mission. A success in the diplomatic sector could calm things, but we may be past that, Commander. He suddenly sounded grave. What do you mean, sir? This morning, after the Rome detonated and the data packet was received by Central Command, we attempted to monitor the secure list you uncovered for intelligence on possible rogue elements in our government. Charlie nodded. A good strategy. What did you find out? Nothing. It was shut down within a half hour of the packet being received, even though only select departments were given access. The entire command structure may be compromised. I understand, Charlie said. I don't think you do. There are rumors of a coup, possible assassinations, hell, even whole ships going rogue, but nothing is concrete yet. Right now, UEA Central Command is a seething mass of paranoia, and we need a win to buy us enough time to clean house and get things back under control. Commander, you get the ambassador to the Mindians, and you complete your mission. Until then, you are ordered to maintain radio silence. Assume any contradictory order is hostile unless verified with the authenticator code sent at the beginning of our transmission. It's been stored in the ship's logs. Roger, sir. You tell that glorified rabbit the entirety of the government may be depending on the success of her mission, he replied. I felt myself flush angrily at his tone. I will, sir. She's standing behind me. Understood. Admiral Nagima, out. Glorified rabbit? That asshole! Who does he think he... was interrupted by the growing tide of Charlie's laughter, tears streaming down his face. Oh God, that's a good one. Glorified rabbit. What do you think of that, long ears? He was literally convulsing with laughter. Stuff it, Charlie. Do you have any idea how that feels, you asshole? Hopped off indignantly to the crew quarters section. The urge to hide was strong in me. I had worked myself back into a dark corner and felt a sorrowful brooding. An intense weight settled in on me, and suddenly a fog started to descend upon my mind. Felt warm and comfortable, almost familiar. The sudden relief made me sag. Snow! God damn it, Snow, are you okay? What's going on? Charlie was looking down at me, perplexed, gripping his hands. I looked around and saw a blanket. It was shredded, and it made a nice spot for myself in the dark corner. The trouble was I didn't remember doing it. My head hurt, and it was hard to think, hard to speak. What happened? I asked, struggling with the words. You just went feral on me, Snow. I've been trying to get you to snap out of it for about 45 minutes. I was this close to breaking orders and contacting command. Are you okay? I think I am. Now? I stuttered out. I think the stress kind of got to me. I was trying to reassure him, but inside I was terrified. At least speech was becoming easier. Okay, but you take it easy. No more checking out on me like that. Doc said on the Rome, too much stress. Bad, I stammered. Roger, okay then, just Try to relax and let me know if you feel yourself beginning to fade. Try not to worry, but we need you. I know, Charlie. Think I'll be fine. At that moment, I wasn't sure if I was lying to him or not. Alright, guys, are you still with me out there? We're showing to be up and streaming. Yep, I see it. Just saw myself move. We are about 12 minutes before we're, well, 10 minutes now before we're due to cut. But I think it's probably a pretty good place to cut it, because the next chapter is also going to be long. I'm just catching up on the stream here. So alright guys, I am going to go ahead and get off here. I really appreciate that you guys were here. And we'll see you in about 40 minutes for hair-raising games, where we will continue Ori and the Blind Forest. Ori and the Will of the Wisp, excuse me. Thanks guys, you guys stay groovy, and we'll see you out there. Join us next time on Readings with Rebecca.